Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be listing off the top 10 most overrated horror movies. With that, let's begin. So, number 10. Number 10, I guess I'm kind of cheating in this, but number 10 is the entirety of the Paranormal Activity franchise. Yeah, these are really bad. Well, I mean, the later ones are probably a lot worse than the first couple, but still. They're just extremely generic, shock value, ghost story type movies. Like, they're not even that good. Like, even with the first one that people praise, it's just not that good. Like, they rely more on cheap jump scares than pretty much any good writing or good character development or anything. It's just an overrated, like, franchise. It is. I know I'm cheating by putting an entire franchise on this list, but the Paranormal Activity movies suck. There are so many ghost story type horror movies out there that are way better. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of cheating with my number 10, but the entirety of the Paranormal Activity franchise is at number 10. Number 9, Carrie. Pretty much any version of this movie, really. Sure, it's iconic, but I don't understand why. You know, when you really get down to the bare bones basics, again, just like the Paranormal Activity movies, it's very generic. Like, oh, there's a person who gets bullied. Oh, wait, but surprise, they have supernatural powers. A very generic and overused plot. The characters aren't interesting. The main focus is pretty one-dimensional. Like, she's either extremely emotionless or she's just going nuts. Like, there's no in-between. There's no balance of, character or emotion with this, with the main character, Carrie. But yeah, it's just an overrated movie that when you really think about it, the plot is one of the most generic, movie plots ever. And the characters aren't interesting, even the main character. But yeah, pretty much any version of Carrie, very overrated and at number 9. Alright. Number 8, Annabelle. Whenever has a horror movie featuring dolls ever been scary? Dolls aren't scary, even possessed or not possessed. Dolls aren't scary unless you have anatomophobia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or wrong, but basically, anatomophobia is a fear of, dolls, mannequins, anything like that. But yeah, unless you have a legit fear of, like, dolls / mannequins or whatever, dolls aren't scary. They've never been scary. And it's like, and I know some of you are like, hey, you like the Child's Play movies, the Chucky movies, but Chucky isn't scary. That's the thing. The character's more entertaining in terms of, watching the movie rather than, actually, scary and putting the fear into the viewer. Annabelle, like, even the doll in the Annabelle movies, no character, nothing. It's just a doll that kills people. And again, dolls have never been scary. So yeah, I don't get why so many people praise this movie because it just has an element that's never ever been scary. But yeah, Annabelle is at number 8. Number 7, the original Wolfman from 1944. I've already talked about this sort of briefly in my last video, but the original Wolfman is overrated. I will say there is good acting and the atmosphere is great, the soundtrack is great and everything, but the Wolfman himself looks awful. Again, I will say this another time, just like with my last video. If you take away the fangs and take away the claws, he literally just looks like a guy suffering from the disease that makes you have hair all over your body. He's not scary, a very stupid design, and Yeah, I mean the that, and also again the werewolf transformation scene is very dull and very, just, not that good. But that's the reason why I think this movie is overrated, because the Wolfman and the Wolfman transformation, not good, hasn't held up well, but people still praise the movie for those, not maybe not the the transformation scene, but people still praise the movie for the Wolfman design, and it's just not that good. I will admit the rest of the movie is, everything else about the movie besides the Wolfman and the transformation scene is good, but the Wolfman and transformation scene isn't good. So yeah, it is kind of overrated. I just put it down lower because, like I said, everything else about the movie is really, really good. But yeah. Number 6 is the original Dracula film. Not Nosferatu, but the Universal Dracula. This one I don't get at all. Unlike with the Wolfman, where everything else but the Wolfman and the transformation scene's bad, where everything else is good, nothing is good about the Universal Dracula movie. Bela Lugosi is one of the most unintimidating Draculas ever. Like, he's so, he started the stereotype of the Dracula. Oh, he's so suave, he's suave, he's slick back hair, he's a gentleman. This Dracula is not good. Also, why the hell does Dracula in this movie not have fangs? He's a vampire, not just some random cosplayer. He doesn't even have fangs. Most of the characters besides, Edward Van Sloan, aren't that good, and I mean not good of actors, but they aren't interesting. No one in this movie is interesting besides Edward Van Sloan. He does an amazing job, but everyone else, even Bela Lugosi, very forgettable, really. The most of this movie takes place in around the houses that these characters are in, and that's about it. You only get a brief scene of Dracula's castle, which looks really cool, but everything else just seems too normal for a vampire movie. The soundtrack is boring as well. Yeah, it's just a very forgettable film, and a very, very bad version of Dracula. But for some reason, people praise this movie, even though it's not good in pretty much any sense. But yeah. Alright. Number 5. Number 5 is The Shining. Now, unlike most movies on this list, this one is a pretty good film, but the reason why I think it's overrated, kind of like with Paranormal Activity, there are so many better ghost story type, movies out there. Yeah, I guess this is partially a psychological, horror movie, because a lot of it's in well, it's up to interpretation, but I think that's kind of what hurts this movie is we're not telling you whether there's actual supernatural activity, or Jack Torrance is just Jack Torrance, is that his name again? Yeah, Jack Torrance. But yeah, it's just, this movie does not work with the cliche of, we're going to leave it up to interpretation, you decide whether he's crazy or there's actual ghosts controlling him. There are movies that work well with that kind of thing. Not this movie. Again, most of the movie is good, except for the fact that it doesn't really, the whole ghost thing, is it a ghost or is it, he's just crazy? Again, leaving it up to interpretation just doesn't work with this movie. And I think near the end, it's just really kind of anticlimactic. Like, everything up until the end is good, but there's no payoff. Yeah, sure, the mom and the kid get away, but in terms of, it still just doesn't feel like a payoff at the end, because he just randomly freezes to death. Jack randomly freezes to death, and we see him in a picture, on the wall from, the 40s or something. But again, it's never explained what the hell is actually going on. It's almost lazy writing. Like, it just is. It's lazy writing of, oh, this stuff happened, but, we're not going to really tell you why it happened, or why he went crazy or anything, Again, great movie, but ruined by lazy writing and a very anticlimactic end. Alright, next up. Number 4. Yeah, number 4. Number 4 is Night of the Living Dead. You could barely see it. It's in a collection of films, right there. But yeah, Night of the Living Dead, praised as the best zombie movie ever. Is it though? It's not a bad film. I think it's a pretty decent film. But, again, just like with, other movies on this list, that there are so many other good ghost story type movies, there are so many other zombie horror films that are way better than this movie. Again, not to say that this movie's bad. I think it is bad, I think it's good. I don't think it's bad. But I do think that it gets way more praise than it deserves. Sure, it's one of the earliest horror films to really feature zombies eating people, but other than that, nothing else about it screams, historic movie, Sure, again, it's a great zombie film, but I have so many issues on why I kind of don't think that this is the best zombie film. First off, the zombies. They're not really that creepy or intimidating or eerie. They're literally just, regular-looking people with slightly, dark rings around their eyes and very pale. That's really what the zombies look like, and it just doesn't look that creepy or anything. They just kind of look dumb, really. They kind of look really silly. And then, of course, again, with the fact that even though it's a good movie, it's not the best zombie movie. I'd say other great movies like, 28 Days Later, Return of the Living Dead, or Dead Alive. One of those, all of those can compete as the best zombie movie ever. This one can't, though. But yeah, good solid film, but definitely, gets a lot more praise than it deserves. Let's see, number 3. Number 3 is another movie I mentioned on my last video, the original Evil Dead. Yeah, I think everything that came after is a lot better. Evil Dead 2, an amazing film. Army of Darkness, one of the best movies ever. And the TV show that came after, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Great show. But the original one just isn't that good. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The special effects are shit. Ash Williams, even though he's there, he might as well not be there considering he doesn't contribute pretty much anything to the film. And very, very bad acting. Yeah, I just do not like this film. Hell, I'll take the remake over this movie. But yeah. Number 2. This one's gonna turn a few heads. Number 2. Hold on, I'm gonna have it right here. Number 2, the original Friday the 13th. Yeah. It's a glorified Halloween knockoff. I'm not going to say much about that because I said a whole lot about it in my last video. But yeah, it's a glorified Halloween knockoff that's extremely boring and generic. Alright, number 1, probably the most controversial pick on this list. Number 1 is the original Halloween. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to say much about it because I said a lot about it in my last video. Michael Myers, in terms of, the one throughout the original series, not intimidating, extremely skinny dude with a silly William Shatner mask on. And lazy writing to make him, be able to be in more sequels even though he should be dead. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Again, I've said more in my last video I did, so I don't need to say even more than I have to now. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.